Yo, what's up, comic compadres, and welcome back to the Team Nerd Herd podcast, where our best advice for you is if you want to do it right, you know what's up. You got to collect what you like. But let's get a little roll call before we get this interview on. I'm going to pass this mic on over to Alonzo. What's up, Alonzo?
What's going on, Ian? I'm excited about today's interview. We got a special guest for you, and a couple surprises. And this is Alonzo, aka Comics and Pops. And over to you, JR.
How's it going, guys? This is Rogue's Law, JR, your Marvel nerd, Star Wars nerd. So we got a great guest today. So who do we got on the plate, Ian? What's up?
Yo, we got a special guest for y'all. She is the writer of Believe in a Thing Called Love, which is which has been optioned, I believe. But more importantly, she's a writer of one of our favorite superheroes, and that is Silk, the new Marvel Silk series that just dropped. I want to bring in our special guest, Maurene Goo. What's up, Maurene? How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good.
Thank you for coming on our show.
Of course. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I just always enjoy talking about Silk.
I know we do too.
Yeah.
She's a favorite. She's a favorite of ours. Hey, but let's get in this interview, and we like to start off with your humble beginnings. So you're a California girl, right, Maureen?
I am. I was born and raised in LA, and I've pretty much lived here almost my whole life. I went to grad school on the East Coast in Boston for a little bit. I lived in San Diego for college, and then now I'm back in LA, and I've been here for a long time.
Wow. So I love LA, and I'm a California guy, and I love tacos. Is that part of the California culture, just loving taco more than your own food, you know?
Yeah, actually, like my earliest memories is when I was little, like when I was 4 years old, I'd have to go hang out at my aunt's like dry cleaners downtown. And then my after school snack was a carne asada taco from the taco truck. So like, that's just like my favorite. When I eat that, it's just like, to me, it's like my whole childhood and living in LA. Tacos are the best. And like, it's one of those, it's kind of like pizza. You're always in the mood to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Tacos are life. Like a lot of people that are not from California don't understand. Like we all grew up kind of eating tacos, right, from the trucks. Yeah. Like I know it's a big thing in LA, you know, like, and I'm from Oakland, and we used to go in the worst parts of East Oakland just to get the best tacos. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you got to get it from the truck. Like a sit down taco place. I'm like,
no.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a place that we have up here that's a fusion taco place. They do all kinds of different things. Like they got a bao bun, like a drunken chicken bao bun that they use as a taco. That's amazing.
I like all the, like, that's like a very, California thing. Like just the mixing of the cultures. I love that. But I do think I'm like a purist about tacos. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm Korean, and I'm like, do not put like bulgogi in a taco. Like, I just want like carne asada, right? Like, I'm like, I love bulgogi by itself.
That's right.
Taco has to be pure.
The taco has to be Mexican with that.
Yes.
You have to. It has to come with the little bag with carrots and jalapenos,
yes.
right? Like
radish.
Yeah, and the radish.
And it has to be greasy.
Yes, it's got to be like soaking through the paper bag.
Yes.
Like that pastor. The pastor has to be like when you pick up the pastor, it has to be dripping, and your hand got to be all red, and you just lick your fingers.
Oh, yeah.
There's a woman that it's not a truck, but it's like a table that she has just in the street, and she makes al pastor like off the spit, and there's a pineapple like right on there, and she'll just like take it off, and she makes a quesadilla with it. And the tortillas, she's like making the tortillas there. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh my
gosh. I want that and a horchata.
Oh yeah.
Those.
you got JR drooling over here.
I'm hungry.
It's almost dinner time, but not quite.
I know.
I just love Mexican food in general. I mean, I can eat it 7 days a week. I don't care.
I think as Californians, we're all kind of like half Mexican, right? Like that's what I would say. Like we just love Mexico
our
and Mexican.
Yeah,
our stomachs are, So go ahead, go, JR.
I was gonna say it's funny you go to other states and try to eat Mexican, and you're like, no, that's no. Take that trash away.
Texas can compete though. Texas can compete.
But
they got some good Mexican.
Tex-Mex is different. It's not the same. But I will say when I lived in Boston, I like almost fought this guy because he was just annoying anyways, like always just like the MFA, like talking down to everybody else, thinking he's smart and he's read every book. And I'm like, I've read every book too, but whatever. And then so one day he was making fun of California. They like to make fun of LA and California, even though none of them have ever freaking been. They know nothing. And, I just take it because I'm like, well, California's like, we don't even think about you, so whatever. And then he was like, and I said, I made a joke like, well, at least you can admit that we have like good Mexican food. And he goes, actually, the best Mexican food I've ever had was in New Hampshire.
What?
And that's when I was like, I don't even like need to dunk you because you just like dunked yourself.
Wow.
That's like saying that to a Californian is like, it's like insulting our mom, I'm like, okay.
That's what I'm saying. And I read in your bio you went to UC San Diego, so you had some.
I did.
I'm in San Diego, so what's up.
Fries, from La Posta, California burrito is my favorite in Hillhurst. Have you been to La Posta?
I haven't yet. You got me. I got to go try it now.
It's a California burrito, has like French fries in there. So what I used to do is there was a pizza place right across the street that's also delicious. Not even across the street, next door. This is like when I was in college. I can no longer do this to my body, but like I would get a slice of pepperoni and then a California burrito, and then I would eat both of them.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to wrap the pizza around the burrito and eat it that way.
Whoa. I mean, that's also a great idea.
That's
never occurred to me. I just like would do one bite.
So no, the great thing about tacos, or at least just general Mexican food, you find the worst place like it looks ugly as all sin. That is the best tacos you're going to find.
I feel like that's a general rule in LA too. Like the best restaurants are like these hole in the walls and like a strip mall. It's not really like the fancy ones.
Yeah.
Like you got to go to like the mom and pop like places that have like a B rating.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's taco trucks. It's taco trucks all day, man. Like if it's not a taco truck, I ain't eating there. And it's hard in San Diego. They only have like fish taco trucks over here, right? You notice that? Like they don't have like the.
But you guys have good taco stands, Like La Posta is a taco stand. You should go in Hillhurst.
La Posta. I'm gonna write that down. Yeah, we have one over there in La Jolla because I lived there for about 10 years.
Oh,
yeah, close to that. Yeah, and they just made this whole new one called Taco Stand. It's over there on Pearl.
It's just called Taco Stand.
It's just called Taco Stand, but it's good. It's good, man. They do the whole little pastor on the. How the whole thing, they cut it up and they put, you ask them for pineapples, they put pineapples in it. That's real. That's a real TJ taco when you ask, I want pineapples, and they put pineapples on the side and some.
Yes.
You already know,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, San Diego had really good burritos. Like my favorite burritos from San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough about food.
We're just talking about food.
Oh my goodness.
All right. When did you pick up your first comic book?
My gosh. Okay, so when I was younger, I didn't. My first memory of reading like a comic was a comic strip, like in our newspaper. So I'm like, how old are you guys? Because I don't know if you remember getting a daily newspaper, but I did. I would read Amazing Spider-Man and I would read Superman, but I would also read like all the other boring ones too, like Marmaduke and Blondie and stuff.
Hey, come on. Marmaduke was not boring.
Marmaduke
or Heathcliff.
He was fun. Oh, I loved Heathcliff. I loved Garfield. But that was like my earliest exposure, my memory of like, Spider-Man or anything superhero. And then I really got into Archie comics when I was a little kid. Like I really loved, it was typical. Like I write teen YA books, right? So it's like, I loved like Betty and Veronica drama. I love like them fighting over Archie, even though I was like, Archie's like hideous. I don't know why these two babes are like always fighting over him, but whatever. And then I had a long break from comics. I never like collected like, the comics you have there, Ian, like that was never a part of my life unless like I went to a friend's house or a cousin's house. And like, honestly, when I was growing up, girls didn't read comics like that, or I didn't know any girls, it's like annoying to say that, but it's just a fact. Like none of my girlfriends were reading comics, but like some of my like guy friends were reading comics. But then I did love the X-Men cartoon. I was obsessed with it. So I know it's so good. That's how I kind of got sucked into like superhero stuff. And then Marvel and comics specifically, like do you guys have, I feel like you guys might have it, the giant 75 Years of Marvel book by Taschen. It's like that fat and that big.
I know the one you're talking about, the big tabletop one.
Yeah, the tabletop one. So
I imagine Alonzo's got it.
Alonzo probably has it.
Yeah, I mean, most people who like love Marvel comics own it. But I worked on that book, so that took me. It was in between my first book and second novels that I took a break to take this job at Taschen because I was like, I don't want to write right now, and it was literally my job was to get every single comic that Marvel had ever made, so that we could take a photo of it because we didn't want like a JPEG or a scan of the comic. We wanted to have the physical object and professionally photographed by our team so that every image you see in Taschen books of the cover are like, they look like, you know, they were collected, their original somebody had, or they're like, they were pristine in the sleeve. Like we had the original, like the very first comic, the Submariner one, you know, and like, so my job was to collect every Marvel comic ever made up until something like the mid 90s or I forget when we stopped for that book. But so I got like a crash course. So like I'm looking at like JR's like those boxes, you know?
Yeah. Long boxes.
Long boxes. I'm like, that was my life for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, like I would just have those and like we'd have to open them and like, you know, document every single one. And I had to get all the licensing I worked directly with Marvel. So they obviously like worked with us on this book because we're telling their history and we're showing every single comic. So they had all the newer comics. So I flew to New York and I got to look at all the newer comics in their office. But the earlier comics, it was like a few men that we knew that were like hardcore collectors that were like older. So they collected older stuff. And then we had like this one guy in Orange County who had almost all of the comics that we used.
Wow.
His name was Bob. He was like the nicest man. And like we had our intern drive to Orange County, pick them up in his car, and then his car broke down at one point.
He let you pick them up? He let you pick up his books?
Yeah, and we had them like insured, you know. So like if anything happened to them, we would pay and blah blah blah. But to me, it's like worth more than money, you know.
Yeah. It's worth a lot of money if you're talking about the old ones.
He's just like living in this house, you know, and has like a whole basement full of his comics, and he had them all organized. And so that was like when I actually would look at the comics and you know, really appreciate like, oh, this is a medium that I never really read that much. I read graphic novels, I read Calvin and Hobbes, all of that stuff, but like in Archie, like I mentioned, but not like superhero comics. So that's like when I really felt like the awe of like holding a comic book. You know, I got to hold like some of the most rare comics. We had this one collector that had like a couple of the rarest comics, and he was in Florida, so we had to send like a team over to Florida to like his old folks home, you know, and like and everybody was like, who are these people? Like they're just bringing a camera crew. Yeah, it was like such a trip, that project. I learned so much, and it's like totally what introduced me to Marvel comics. And at that time, a few of the MCU movies had come out, but not like a ton. So I actually, you know what? The timeline was the second Thor movie came out when I was working on it, because the Taschen office is across the street from where the movie was premiering. And the Marvel guys were like, hey, do you want to go to the premiere of Thor 2?
Wow.
Or they said screening. Okay. So I was like, oh, screening. Cool. Yeah. I'll just like, and they're like, oh, you can only go by yourself. And I'm like, I was like, okay, I can't bring anybody. Fine, whatever. I'll go after work. So I literally like was wearing like an outfit like this, jeans, sweatshirt, my laptop bag. I'm tired after work. So like, I'm just going to cross the street to the theater. It's like, you know, Man's Chinese Theater, or I forget. They changed the name. I forget what changed to what.
Kodak now.
Oh yeah. Okay. Kodak, where they have all the premieres. And I literally step on there and I'm like, uh-oh. It was like
red carpet?
Official movie premiere. I stepped on the red carpet.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, no. And then literally I got there the second that Chris Hemsworth pulled up with Liam and they got out of the car. And I was like, no. And I just like ran away. And then I went into the theater and I watched it. Like they had two theaters. I think one was for like the celebrities and then one was for like the crew. So I was probably in the crew screening. That was a timeline for when. So I liked all the Marvel movies when that was happening.
Well, you lived the ultimate nerd life and you didn't even know it.
That's right.
I felt like it was wasted on me, you know? Like I was like, oh, I got to go to this premiere. I had no clue that was the premiere.
You're like, who are these people?
I just was like, oh no. Once I saw the red carpet, I just felt so like, oh my God, why did I come to this? But at the same time, it was really fun. Obviously.
Did they make you go in front of the whole Thor, the Thor background, and take pictures with your?
I refused. I just ran. Like I signed in. I'm like, thank you for my ticket, and then like I ran into the lobby and got my free popcorn, and then like went into the theater. Like ignore me.
Well, and you also got to go to the actual Marvel studio, in New York, right? You were saying, and that's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard that's like getting to Fort Knox.
Yeah. JR would pass out if he went up in there. He'd been like, "Oh shit."
I did feel really like lucky when I, got to do that. I think we were in the conference room that had like Iron Man on it, and
wow, look at you.
I mean, it wasn't. I hate to tell you guys, it's like not glamorous,
It would be to us. It would. Yeah, that's sacrilegious, man. It would be to us. We'd be like,
it just looks like an office with like cubicles and like conference rooms. Except that there's like random Marvel stuff everywhere. And everybody there is so nice. Like that's my experience so far. Like they're not, the comics people are like, they're comics people. They're not like Hollywood or,
Right.
They're just people that really love comics. So when I worked on that book, everyone I worked with was so great. I have such a soft spot for like all of the collectors and the guys that I worked with. And actually 3 of them were like my best buds because they're like the fact checkers. They like knew everything. They like knew Stan Lee, and I told them like once this comic came out, I was like, hey, do you guys remember me? It was like 7 years ago I last talked to them. I wrote Silk. And so I'll send you guys like the first issue. I'll sign it. And it was like so nice,
Did they fanboy? They're like, oh my God, look, we know this person.
They played it cool on email. But they're like, oh, congratulations. They're just like these, 3 really nice men. And they just love Marvel. They were totally like insane encyclopedic knowledge, of a certain era of comics.
Like JR and Alonzo.
That guy right there.
He's in.
I'm sure you guys are too. I'm sure you're like, right.
Not me.
Everything but Spider-Man for me, pretty much.
But Spider-Man?
Sorry.
I
love everything around Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Just I don't like Peter Parker.
I feel like that's why I wrote Silk, because I'm like Peter. I was always such a Spider-Man. Like Peter had a special place in my heart. Like when I worked on all the Marvel stuff, I loved him, and I loved Steve Rogers. I love Captain America.
Well, Alonzo got me to read the #1 of Silk. Because I usually don't read anything Spider-Man related. And I could definitely feel you were channeling a little Peter in there, which
he did.
But a good version of Peter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
When I was describing like your character or how it felt like, JR was like, you know what? So Silk is Spider-Man with balls, and I'm like, yes.
I wasn't going to say that to a lady, but yes.
I'm like,
it's fine.
Yes. This is exactly how she is. I mean, she's out there. She's not afraid to be who she is.
Well, I've always liked Silk as a character.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with Spider-Man, I feel, is very emo. Very always crying about
not always crying. He's just more sensitive.
He's misunderstood.
But do you like the Tom Holland Spider-Man?
I do like the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
He's like not angsty at all. He's just like a joyful little guy.
And I'll be honest, like the second Spider-Man movie, I think is a perfect Spider-Man movie, perfect comic book movie.
Okay, which second though?
The Tobey Maguire second one with Doc Ock.
What? Interesting. I think the first one's great.
The first one was great too.
Yeah.
But I'm not, and like I said, but I respect it because it was true to the character. Like I liked
that's what people said.
Mm-hmm. I liked the second series better, but it wasn't true to the character.
Andrew Garfield?
I liked him better. I thought he had
I-
more personality,
I
but
agree,
he's not true.
but I feel like I liked that Spider-Man just because I love Andrew Garfield. So I feel like it was like not unbiased of me. I
understand that.
do think my favorite is Tom Holland Spider-Man though, because I
Yeah.
love how funny it is. I love the heart. I think Tom Holland feels like Peter Parker.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he
Those
does.
other guys were like 30 or something. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
So
They-
for
they
me,
did-
like Tobey Maguire was like the perfect Peter Parker, but he was not the perfect Spider-Man. And Andrew Garfield was the perfect Spider-Man, but not the perfect Peter Parker. And with Tom Holland, I feel like you have the perfect Peter
blend.
Parker and Spider-Man all in one.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think they're written so well. And, you know, I write YA novels, so it really appeals to me on that level. I'm like, oh, these are like YA novels with superhero stuff dashed in there,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
No, and it's very well done. I mean, I wish the X-Men movies were as good. I love
know.
X-Men and Daredevil,
Me,
and I
me
wish they were
too.
done as good as those.
Okay, I could talk about this forever too. I did love the first X-Men movie, the OG Hugh Jackman.
Oh yes.
Very good. I love the Logan movie.
Mhm.
Everything in between, I'm like, ugh.
X2 isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's okay. But I also, Daredevil, the show, I was like, ugh.
Yes.
It's really cool looking. The fights, the choreography was awesome. I love Charlie Cox, but like Foggy and what's her name? I'm like, please
Deborah
stop talking, you guys. Like, please. Who wrote these lines?
We want more Elektra. That's what I was saying.
Oh, Elektra was great.
Elektra
you
was
know?
dope, man. That whole
Yeah,
that
I didn't
second
think she was
season.
done well.
I mean,
I
I'm
just didn't
not
think
being
she
like,
was.
I'm not
See,
being like
no.
comic booky about it. So
No.
I just like.
I liked it. I liked the performance, you know, and I liked Punisher in that one too, you know.
Oh, yeah,
like
he
it
was
was
great.
dope. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was dope, you know.
I mean, and
No.
Vincent D'Onofrio is so good. Like,
Yes.
I felt like that was the most complex like villain
Yes.
I've ever seen. But there's something about like the writing on that show. It was like the dialogue between him and his friends. I always felt like was off. And then like it felt repetitive. Like I don't know if you guys felt that way, but like
Yeah.
every episode's like we've got to save Hell's Kitchen. I'm like, I get it. Like you have to save Hell's Kitchen.
The first season was. I mean, you had to have patience. I thought you had to
Yes.
have patience for the first season, and then this. What is it? There was 3, right? There's second
Yeah.
season and third
Uh,
season just went off. They were just bangers all the way
Yeah.
through. You
I
know?
think
The second
I
was
agree.
Punisher.
Yeah,
And the third
I-
was with Elektra and
what's Elektra?
yeah.
Elektra and Bullseye.
Yeah, I am sad that it's. Oh yeah, that Bullseye episode was really good. You know, remember they went back
Yeah.
and like they like went into his psyche and everything. But yeah, I also am kind of sad though. I still like because I like enough of that show. I wanted it to keep going, but
Me too.
Get it-
Me
I think
too.
we'll get it back.
Rumor has it that Charlie Cox will be in the next Spider-Man movie.
mhm.
There's no rumor about that.
Okay, he will be.
That was that is
confirmed right here.
confirmed.
But also, I think there are a ton of other actors from the other movies that are confirmed.
Yeah.
So they're not sure, like, is it going to be a real part or like a little like Spider-Verse, like, you know, like they're just like all the multiverses are like overlapping or something.
Well, they're also bringing an Echo supposedly on. Was it Hawkeye?
Yes.
That you guys said,
Yep.
which
Echo.
Echo is related to Daredevil and Kingpin.
Mhm.
So, and that
Ooh.
drops right around the same time as the Spider-Man movie does. That is
Mm.
Daredevil. So we might end up getting some news like in December saying, "Hey,
And
we're going to do a Daredevil show next year."
You guys,
And
it's
they
so
actually-
hard to keep track of.
No, and
Yeah.
those echoes, they actually have the pictures from the set too, so it's like a for real thing.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh, okay.
you know,
She's
yeah.
been confirmed.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's dope.
Wait, she's played by. Do you guys remember?
You guys
Alonzo
remember?
should know.
Alonzo knows.
I don't recall her name.
I know, I don't remember.
American.
Wait, it's okay. Wait,
Yeah.
sorry to ask like
No, you're fine.
Oh, go ahead.
like a very comic newbie question. Is she Hawkeye's daughter?
No,
No.
Are they
She
related?
is-
no, she's not.
No.
Oh,
She
never mind
basically
then.
That's okay.
Kingpin killed her parents
This is a cool. It's a cool little
and
story. Go ahead.
adopted her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
And basically he raised her to be like his own assassin. And basically at one point Daredevil kind of found out about this and got her away from him because I think
Oh,
Kingpin kind of went go kill Daredevil, and they connected because they both have senses that are missing.
got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Never
really
mind
cool.
then. Because you guys mentioned Hawkeye, and I was thinking of the actress that's playing his daughter.
Oh,
And-
it's
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop.
Actually-
But Kate Bishop isn't. Yeah,
Haley,
not Haley Steinfeld.
Steinfeld.
Uh-huh.
Steinfeld? I forget. Yeah.
Steinfeld. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Steinfeld, yeah.
Okay. I like her.
Yeah, she's
It's
really
gonna
cool.
be-
Like, I'm
yeah.
looking forward to it.
Mm.
Yeah, she's like she epitomizes like in the pictures like of the set of Kate Bishop. I'm so stoked for
Yeah.
that. Oh yeah, she's gonna
Looks
be dope.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, I'm just like going off on tangents.
It's
Oh, this is no, we love
That's
it.
kind of how our interviews are.
No, we don't. It's like we're all just having
Talk.
beer. So how did it happen? How'd you become the writer for the
Yes.
Silk
Oh,
miniseries?
it's like not a very exciting story. Basically, I was contacted about it by the editor at the time, Jake Thomas, who he edited all the issues more or less. But then Lindsay Kohik eventually took over, and he just emailed me. I got this email. It's like I think it was through my website. So sometimes I see those emails and I'm like, like I don't know what this is about. And it was like, oh, do you want to work on a Marvel thing? And I was like, is this even real? Like sometimes I'm like, it's like weird stuff. But then I looked, I was like, oh yeah, it's a Marvel email address. So then I was like, I'm interested because it just so happened that I wanted to take a break between writing books. I just like pumped out a book a year for 3 years, and it was like really like I was burnt out. So I was like, I want to try some other things. And I've always, like I've told you guys, I have like, not that I was an expert in comics, but I've always had an interest and exposure to them. And I really enjoy the movies, and I love graphic novels. I like that medium. So I was like, oh, this might be a really cool like chance to try it out, And it was only 5 issues, so it didn't feel like a huge commitment. And so yeah, and then it was just like Silk. So at first I was like, oh, it's a Marvel property. I wonder what it is. They wouldn't tell me in the email. At first I had to like agree to like, I think I had to sign an NDA or something. It's, it's because it's like Disney and stuff. So like,
yeah.
I was like, okay. And then I was like, what? Who is it? Like, who do you guys want me to write? And they're like, Silk. I was like, what? Okay, perfect. Because, Korean American, I love Spider-Man. I love everything Spidey. So I was like, okay, this sounds perfect. It was just like the timing and like if they had asked me to write someone else that I wasn't that interested in, I don't think I would have taken it on. So it is more work than you think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you then, how would they know to contact you though? I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, I'm sure they have access to, a giant database, and they're like, what made Maurene Goo stand out? I mean, did you ask that question? Or
I think I did, and like the answer was they've had a lot of success with YA authors writing comics for them. Yeah, they're like, oh, they, it's just been like a good combination. So they were looking for YA authors, and Marvel's trying to do better with representation, I think, and Korean American YA author like kind of narrowed down to a few people. So that's how Jake found me. I was like, oh, did you just Google like Korean American YA?
And then like, oh, these are the names that popped up.
I mean, I would definitely pop up in that, So yeah, it was awesome. And then once he reached out to me and said, are you interested? And I was like, okay. I basically had to pitch my own story for it. So like, I thought of the rough story for the 5 issues. And I had a lot of help from my friend Derek, who's like a huge comic book person. And he's read like every Marvel comic. So I was like, Derek, help me. Like, basically I'm like, here's an idea I have. It's like really, and they gave me like hardly any structure. They gave me a few elements that they wanted in the series. And then that was it. Like, whatever you want to do with this. So I was like,
wow.
All right, sky's the limit. And I just kind of kept it, as you guys will learn when you read it, I kept it kind of small, but also implied like I wanted to introduce like a scary, crazy villain. But like
Yes.
you don't get too into the weeds with that. It's mostly like Cindy and her life, and then like her being a reporter by day, and then like her relationship with her brother and Jonah, and like I couldn't get too like epic, you know. So I thought the whole thing with Spider-Man that I loved is that he's always protecting his neighborhood. So I kind of wanted to keep her in Queens, and like there's a threat directly in Queens with the gangsters in town, and so like that's what I decided to focus on.
So I was going to ask you then. So what do you have in store for us with Saya Ishii? She's like the main villain. So
Maybe she's the main villain.
maybe.
She's not. Gosh, it's one of those things. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about, you know. And it's like Marvel's
Oh, just
like
spill the beans. It's okay.
it's all secrets. I will tell you that she will be like a worthy foe for Silk. I wanted to write a villain that, well, one, I was like, let's do something unheard of and have like 2 Asian women in a comic, right? Right? It's like, might as well. And that's the thing. I'm like, yes, it's great to have the superhero be Asian. We want that representation, but like, why not a villain too? You know, like, let's make everybody complicated. You don't always just have to be like some model citizen. It's just the idea is like everybody is every kind of person. So I'm peppering this world with like, yeah, I'm having like a half Asian. Oh, well, you'll find out. Villain, and she's gonna be like, her and Silk have like, they're gonna have like a rapport that's like kind of like equals. You know, like they've kind of, you know, I really love villains that respect each other, or like enemies that respect each other. So like Xavier, Magneto, that kind of thing. So I kind of was aiming for something like that.
Okay. And you also mentioned like the relationship between her and Albert, her brother, and I'm kind of interested in that as well, because it seems like he's going to take on the role of a father figure almost, because it seems, at least in the first issue, he was the one making sure that she was like, up, here's your food, you know, making sure that he was there and she was taken care of.
I realized I wasn't thinking that hard about like subverting things from the first 2 series, or was it those 2, I think. One of them was very long, so I'm always like, I wanted Cindy to be a little more independent, and I wanted them to be like, I also liked their relationship. I like the idea of her, you know, I'm an older sister. I'm a Korean American older sister. So there's like a certain way that we are. We have a lot of responsibilities. We're really bossy, and we're like really overprotective, and we kind of like are annoying, you know? And so I wanted Silk to have that with her brother, but at the same time, I wanted Albert to have like grown from his trauma, because, you know, he went through the whole Goblin Gang thing. The Goblin Gang, like, I don't know, I always like cracked me up. They're like little kids, like goblins underground. But I wanted him to like kind of be over that and like moving on with his life. And so they're like just like roommates and siblings, you know, and I'm not like really, I try not to make it like too angsty. I kind of wanted this to feel a little lighter, a little like Silk is moving on. She has done all this therapy and she's like grown emotionally. And so now we're like seeing her growth a little bit.
I was gonna say, I really like the juxtaposition with Jonah, because I mean, like Peter and Jonah,
I know
they kind of got along, but she seems like she's like his little daughter or something, you know. I mean, almost kind of with him calling her android, or not android. I'm sorry, analog. Sorry.
Yeah.
Analog, yeah. I like that. I like that reference. That reference was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the first series. One of my favorite like dynamics in relationships is like cranky mentor and like younger person that challenges them a little bit. So I, you know, like I think I don't know Jonah that well from the comics, but what I do know about him is I get this kind of old school kind of like old school cut, like as in like he's a little sexist and like kind of has these old fashioned views. So I like the idea that he needs. So that was one of the things I was given, like, oh, she's going to have to be his bodyguard. That was one of the things, and I was like, oh, okay, parameters of the comic. So I thought of a storyline to have them have that relationship, and I like the idea that he's dependent on like this young woman to protect him. So it forces him to like begrudgingly like respect her, and like she's like a millennial, so he kind of like makes pokes fun of her at that. But like at the end of the day, they like have like a affection for each other. And I like that too, because he also doesn't like Spider-Man, you know, like he always has this thing. So I like that he's like, oh, unlike Spider-Man, like Silk is cool, like for whatever reason he likes her. So I like that he has this inherent respect for Silk. And then little does he know that like Cindy is his, you know, his employee too.
So I'm curious because I don't know too much about Silk, so I'm putting it out there. Do you know why she has like the red fingers in her costume?
Okay. I don't know actually, but I figure it's just because the web, you know, her webs come out of her fingers, her fingertips. So it's just like a way to signal like visually.
Okay.
I know it always looks like she like ate Cheetos, right?
That's what I was thinking.
That's what we were teasing that the other day.
The flaming hot Cheetos.
Yep, exactly. She's like,
I know there are certain things where I realized I didn't fully. This is because I'm not like a comic person. Like I didn't fully highlight like all of her powers and strengths and stuff. So who knows? Maybe in the future, like I could do that. But there are certain things that I was like, oh, I wish I had shown a little more of this side of her. But that's for next time.
Next time. So
I mean, if there is a next time,
plan?
I don't know.
Are there
I
plans?
don't know. There is no word yet.
You said you were on a current project. Is that like a book project or is that a comic book project?
Oh, it's actually neither. It's a movie. It's an animated movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just decided to try everything while I was pregnant during this pandemic. And one of them is like writing a movie. So yeah, I was hired by a studio to write this movie. I'm working on that. And then I am still actually working on Silk, believe it or not, because there's, you know, the pandemic like stalled all of everything. So I'm sure you guys knew that. But that meant that Silk we stopped working on it after like the second issue. I had written all of them, but like Tack, the artist, stopped. Ian, the color, stopped. Editing stopped. And then it came back in October. So like now we're like trying to catch up and get all of the editing and everything done.
So would you do other characters that are Korean characters? Because isn't like Amadeus Cho also Korean?
I'd be interested. I like Amadeus. I also, because I have a fondness for the Hulk, you know, I feel like it's such a, it's so like rich with metaphor for angry Asian people right now.
Oh yeah.
You know? Right? And so it's just like such a rich territory. And that's the thing with Silk. I don't think of her as angry anymore. I think she kind of like got that through her system. So like I liked writing Silk as just like this kind of happy, fun.
She felt really
comic.
fresh. When I read it, she felt really fresh, and the art was really fresh. And
his art, Tech's art is so good. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I wanted to bring that feeling, and I felt like, you know, somebody asked me on a podcast recently, like, oh, given the state of the world, like, would you change anything about Silk's storyline? And I was like, if I'm being real, like, of course, I would feel like I need to address that a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm creating, when I write my books too, like, I really want to provide escape and like enjoyment for people. Like, because that's what I love about comics and stuff. So I do like the dark ones, like Logan, like I mentioned, but like in general, I'm like drawn to, you know, the silly, like, I don't know, things that make me feel hopeful and good. So, and that's kind of like, I think my strengths as a writer, like writing about like heartwarming, funny things, not really like angsty, like super like difficult, dark things. Maybe one day, but like that's just not really what I like writing right now. So Silk is not that person to me. Even though there is a lot to be explored, there's a concept in Korean culture called Han. And Han is basically this idea that Koreans have that we have, it's like inherited trauma and rage because of all the grievances that our ancestors have gone through.
Wow.
So you, like when you're born, you just have it in you. It's just this idea, you know, it's like a cultural thing. So I love that because I am an angry person too. And I feel like a lot of women are angry and right now, and like the past few years have just like really done a number on us. And like the pandemic pointed out like, wow, look at this inequity and like even in everybody's homes, like all the moms like lost their jobs because they had to take care of the kids. So there's just like a lot of like bottled up anger, which I find interesting. But that's why I kind of like Hulk, because it's like, you know, I really love, this is not a sorry, I'm always like referring to the movies because I'm like a basic Marvel person, but like, you know, when he's like, I'm always angry, that's how I feel about like a lot of women. Like we're always angry. So I like Amadeus. He's a guy. He's a Korean guy. I do feel the same way with maybe, I don't know, like you guys are Asian males, right? There's that too. There's like a rage with Asian men too, because of how they've been represented and treated in American history for a long time. So yeah, I like Amadeus a lot. I would love to also, I don't know, I have ideas.
No, I mean, so you mentioned that Han, that inherent like anger. You know what? That wasn't explored at all in his Amadeus's Cho Awesome Hulk's like run, and actually that would be perfect to kind of introduce to that character. That, you know what? It's something that he's kind of been dealing with.
Did he? I don't. Sorry, I didn't really get into those comics, but I know the basic story, and so I don't think he was as out of control as like Bruce Banner Hulk, right?
He wasn't.
No. He was at a point where he was kind of separated from his Hulk persona, where the Hulk kind of took over, but it was still like, it wasn't like the Incredible Hulk. I mean, it was very different. But, you know, to get to how you're referencing this Han, I mean, I think it would complement his character. I mean, it would be fantastic. So Marvel, if you're listening, I mean, this is a great idea.
Yeah, that'd be a very interesting twist to see if maybe, since he's not really the Hulk anymore, I forgot what they're calling him now.
He's called Brawn.
It's or
Brawn.
like
Brawn.
Oh, Brawn. Okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember thinking it's like similar, but not quite.
It would be very culturally appropriate, right?
Yeah.
The Han
Yes.
within.
I could see him to tap into that and unlock his own Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah,
Where
I
is
don't
it?
know. I don't know where he is right now in like the comics. So
Agents of Atlas, I think, is what he's with right now, with a lot of other Asian-inspired characters.
with like Jimmy Woo and stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that we've been talking about too a lot of on the show, is like Asian influenced characters and how Marvel is they're having Shang-Chi coming, and then they have Jimmy Woo in the new show,
he's gonna
what do you think about all that?
I mean, obviously I'm like, woohoo, finally.
Yeah, finally, right?
Yeah, finally, people had like their thoughts about Iron Fist and Doctor Strange. I get it. But at the same time, I also get like, I'm not going to go into it, but it's just like, I'm glad they're
Me too.
featuring all, and not just Asians, but all sorts of, but I think the reason, people of color. I mean, look what Black Panther did for not even just, I think, Black audiences, but like the world. It was so big in Korea,
and it came out at the right time too, right? Remember Black Panther? It came out like right in the right time.
Yeah, it's really great time.
Yeah.
That movie is just so good. I do think with Asian people though, it's nice because all of our like martial arts has been appropriated for how long? All of these comics, right? And then also we've never been depicted as, you don't think of the stereotype of Asians as like strong, right? Or like we're like meek, and we just take. Do you guys say bad words on the show?
Yes,
all the time.
All you want.
I'm like, we just take shit, right? And we just like whatever. But so it's kind of empowering, I think, like for the timing of this to be like, and that's historically. I'm not even talking about like all the bullshit that's happening right now with all the hate crimes, or like it's just awful.
Right.
Which is just highlighting like, oh, this has always been our problem. Like, we're not seen as human. We're seen as weak. We're seen as foreign. We're seen as like, you know, you can just beat us up and no one's going to fucking care, you know? And that's what I'm like, okay, so all of this stuff is good. I just feel like, okay, don't let this be like a phase or a trend, you know, like this is like everybody's lives. This is reality. So
yeah, and it's gonna be an ongoing thing too, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciated that about Marvel. But hey, I wanna say congratulations on being a new mom. You know,
thank you.
I mean, I'm a new dad. I mean, my kid's a 3-year-old. You know, he's a cute. Yeah, I remember when my kid was 8 months. Like, enjoy it. Like they're never 8 months again, right, Alonzo? They're never 8 months again.
That's
you know, you have to enjoy these times.
I do enjoy this time. I did not enjoy the newborn time.
I did. I loved it, man.
Okay, it's so crazy to me when people enjoy newborns. You must have had a good newborn.
No, he's a crazy guy. No, he never slept. He was a little crazy dude, and I just love like burping him and its cheek on my cheek and putting him in bed. You know, like, you know.
Yeah, I hated all of that.
You know that?
I was so stressed. You know, I was like, how am I going to keep this baby alive? You know, also just with women, there's like the breastfeeding. Oh, it's just like a whole journey. But once he hit like 3 months, I was like, oh, he's like a little human being. And I felt the reciprocation of like, you know, they make eye contact and and once that happened, I was like, oh, okay. And then he started sleeping. So that helped too.
The coolest thing is like when they look at you for the first time and smile, right?
I
like,
know. I know you're
me.
Like, whoa, you recognize.
I know. Like, you know me, dude.
It's very special.
How do you think being a new mom is going to change you as a writer, or has it changed you as a writer?
Well, I just don't have that much time anymore. I used to think, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? I literally had like the whole day to write and nobody was depending on me for anything. I didn't have to go to bed at like 9:30, you know? So that's one thing. I definitely, you know, anything involving children, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I'm so overly sensitive. Anything with kids, like I can't ever, like I actually feel the same way with animals, you know, like if there's I always ask people if there's a dog in a trailer in a movie, I'm like, is that dog gonna live? You know, like I don't want to watch a movie where this dog dies or gets hurt. I feel that way with kids now. Like if I read about anything with kids are in danger or something bad, some negative story, I'm like, ugh. So I feel like I've kind of become a little sensitive in that way. And I don't know if that's going to show up in my writing. Again, I don't write like heavy, dark stuff usually, but I am, well, I don't know if I'm about to talk about, but my like YA novel, I'm writing about a mother-daughter relationship. So obviously that's like my own experience, but like now that I'm a mom, it's like a little bit more, there's like a flipped where I'm like, oh, I can see I'm both sides. I've lived a teenager and now I'm on the other side too. So that obviously changes that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I think time will tell and see. I'm sure I'll just be way more overly sensitive to pain and suffering in the world because, you know.
Since you kind of just mentioned it, what's that young adult title that you're working on?
Oh, I can't talk about it because I haven't sold it yet. I know. Sorry. I'm like, everything's like secrets. It's very annoying. Book world is like very secrets because unless you like announce your book deal and stuff, you don't want anyone to steal your idea.
Okay.
But I hope to sell it this year. So then if you guys follow me on social media, you will see me announce it. So yeah.
And where can we find you on social media then, Maurene?
Oh, I am pretty active on Instagram and Twitter, and both my handles are at Maurene Goo, so just my full name.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I followed you. Yeah. It's okay. Dope. Go ahead, Alonzo.
I was gonna ask you. So Ian kind of brought this up as part of the intro. Has there been any other news for I Believe in a Thing Called Love?
yes, but again, I can't talk about it. Oh my god, I know.
Okay,
Just-
so
Congratulations, though. Congratulations.
Just know that
Yeah.
like it's a congratulatory feeling at the moment, and
Yes.
hopefully I can talk about it soon.
Okay.
We do have oh god, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about that. Ugh. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you that it's exciting, and I think it's gonna progress, and hopefully you guys will see it.
Can I ask you this? Like,
Yes.
just imagine in a world where like it's gonna be this big movie at the Man's Chinese Theater. Are you gonna be in your
Our movie
sweats?
theaters.
Are you gonna
my
be in your sweats and your book bag and the red carpet? Or are you
Oh my
gonna
gosh.
come real?
I should just show up like I'm just gonna sneak in. No, I am going
Get my free
to.
popcorn.
I know I'm like a bum right now, but I'm like very girly, and I love like I have my nails done. I can't wait to wear makeup. I can't wait to like wear a dress where I don't look like a blob. I will be like milking
Blob.
all of that.
You
I'll be like
are-
so excited about all of that. I'll be like, I worked so hard for this moment.
No, congratulations, and we appreciate you coming on. You know, like
Oh.
but we have to run you through the gambit. Are you ready? Like, we have to ask you our rapid fire questions. And-
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, are you ready for this? So, I'm gonna start off. My first question is, where is the favorite place that you have traveled to? Your favorite place?
Okay, this is like a very embarrassing bougie lady answer, but it's real. It's Provence, France, and I sound like such a douchebag when I say that, but it's just true. It is the most beautiful freaking place. It is warm, full of lavender fields, medieval castles built into a cliff, like villages and townspeople and like potters, and then like French food, and then this is where like the best rosé comes from. That's also me. Like I'm like such a mom by saying that, like rosé, but like so delicious. So that is like every time during this pandemic when I was like, will I ever leave my home again? I was like, I'm gonna go to Provence again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
France is a very beautiful country. What about you,
It's
JR?
beautiful.
Favorite swear word?
Oh, there you go.
Motherfucker.
Oh, isn't that everybody's favorite word?
It's just such a when you use it well, it's like very powerful.
You
Yeah,
use that a
Samuel
lot on
Jackson
the
definitely knows that.
Yes.
do you use that word a lot on the 405?
Oh my god. You do not. I become like a horrible human being. I have
We are
road rage.
horrible. Anytime
It is
I drive through LA, I'm a horrible person. So
I know. I
don't worry
turn
about
into
it.
like a terrible villain, and
You turn into the Hulk.
Motherfucker.
I do. I do turn into the Hulk, and like, I have such bad road rage, and it's so notorious. Like everybody knows it. That like at my wedding, it was like all my bridesmaids roasted me about my road rage.
Nice.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Marvel movie?
Oh God, this is so. I thought you guys might ask me this. Okay. Like I told you, I have a soft spot for the Spider-Man, the Homecoming, but I also like Far From Home equally. But then I also just love original Iron Man, the first one, the best. Also love Winter Soldier. I could watch that a million times, and don't even get me started on the TV show. Ugh. And then I also love Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
2?
I
Two
know.
was good.
Controversial.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the soundtrack, man.
I thought the soundtrack's so good, and it's
Is that the Mary Poppins one? That's the Mary
the
Poppins
first
one? That's
Yep.
the Mary Poppins one.
That's right.
You know, like
Mary Poppins,
dude,
motherfucker.
dude, I cried. I mean, when it happened, I was a little bitch.
Oh wait, also you
know?
guys, Endgame. I know that's like basic too. No, also Thor Ragnarok. See, I just
Oh
there's
my
so
God.
many. Yeah.
Really?
There's
You
so
don't like
many.
Thor Ragnarok?
No, she likes it, I thought.
I love
No,
Thor Ragnarok.
No, Alonzo, you don't.
You don't
Alonzo
like
doesn't.
it?
How could you
I-
not like that one?
Oh my God. I look at Thor Ragnarok and I'm like, can we just delete it and like forget this thing
No.
happened?
See,
No.
I'm not
I want to
that
forget it
far.
happened.
I'm not that far. My problem
It was,
is
like,
Thor
so
Ragnarok
bad.
feels like Guardians of the Galaxy.
But better.
But yeah,
It's
Dude.
basically as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Thor versus the Hulk, man. In
Oh
the
my
ring.
God,
Come
I
on,
know.
man. Like, that was so
And-
good.
No,
And
it is good.
Valkyrie, like, oh my gosh, everything is good. Taika Waititi he's a genius.
What
But you know
about,
what? Is it because it doesn't feel
the-
like the comics?
No, it just like it
No.
didn't feel like a Thor movie.
It felt like
Because they were bad.
Guardians-
The other two Thor
No.
movies were
Oh, come
terrible.
on!
It felt like they
No,
went.
no,
Guardians of the
no.
Galaxy did really well. Let's
And
copy
yeah,
that.
I felt they copied
I-
it. And
I
you-
enjoyed
you-
it. I
Lonzo,
enjoyed it.
you
I
wanna
will
make
not
Thor-
say it's a bad movie.
That
It
is
is not-
disrespecting my second husband, Taika Waititi, but that's okay.
It's still a good movie. It is not anything done by Zack Snyder. That's a whole different case.
But I mean, people like the Snyder Cut thing, right? Is it? Do they really like it, or are they just like?
These two like
I
it,
liked it.
not me.
I
Oh.
liked it.
I don't like. In general, I don't like the DC. I like Wonder Woman for making me feel feelings, but that's about it. Yeah.
Let's be honest. Guardians 3, it's all about the collector.
Oh,
Or what's Jeff Goldblum's character?
yeah. Is
Yeah,
that
the
his name?
collector.
The collector, yeah.
Was he the collector? Yeah.
He's so great.
Yeah.
He was
so
really
wrong
great
in
in
that
Thor
movie.
too. Ugh, okay.
No. Wrong in the sense of what they let him get away with saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That kind of was like, okay, that's a Disney movie, and you're letting him say
Oh.
things that are kind of inappropriate for kids.
Well, they push the boundaries
push
sometimes
boundaries.
in the Marvel, but I mean, Endgame was just like there's no movie theater experience that will, for me, compare to that. When
I agree.
oh my god, so
Totally
many
agree.
moments,
But
portals.
speaking of Tiki Watiki,
Tiki
I know.
Watiki.
I know I fucked it up. Did you watch Jojo Rabbit?
Yes, 3 times, and I went to the screening at the ArcLight, which rest in peace is closing down.
Yeah.
But
I know.
he was there.
That was such a great movie.
Wow.
Ugh, it's so good. It was wonderful. It's like uplifting, even though it's sad. You know.
Yeah, especially that
what-
ending. I was like, oh,
And one last
Yeah.
question: like, if
Yes.
me and Jr. and Alonzo were to come out in LA, which Alonzo's already there. Where would you tell us? Where would you tell us to meet you up for dinner at?
Oh, Korean barbecue.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's Koreatown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of places. Hmm.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like always fun to like take people there. There's like an activity to do, and it's
Yep.
just like the best food.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's just one we
obviously I'm
always go
biased.
to. No. LA Korean barbecue is the best. I think it's the best
Oh.
because when we're always down there, I forgot we're in Koreatown at what's the street name, Alonzo and Maurene? Like I forgot the name.
Wilshire.
Wilshire, yeah.
Mhm.
And there's this little Korean barbecue spot there, man, that we always go to if we're in LA. We just go
There's so
if we're
many
there.
good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a lot, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't necessarily go to the ones that it's all you can eat. You should go to
No.
the ones you actually pay
Yeah.
per course, because the meat is, oh my god, so much better. The
It's like
higher
the-
quality food.
I think the all you can eat is great when you're like in college or you're like
Yes, or
27.
or drunk.
Yeah,
drunk,
or
yep.
drunk. But like you don't need that amount. You might as well have like the good meat. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm so hungry.
I'm not an LA person. I'm from Northern
Uh-huh.
California. But one thing I really realized about LA is like how dope the Korean community there is, and
It's
and Koreatown is dope, man. It's like it is like so cool, you know?
Yeah, K-Town's
mean,
awesome.
It's the best. It's so unique. And I mean, I grew up when I was really little, like we lived there, but like, and it's like part of my childhood. We always go there on the weekend for groceries. And then my grandma lived there for a long time. So yeah. And then like when I got older, we like go karaoke, and in college we like went to go eat. And then I miss it. I'm like excited I got vaccinated, so I will
All
be
right.
able to go to like outdoor restaurants here and there. And I'm really excited to go to a Korean barbecue.
So so I always say like I'm half zombie because I got my first shot. JR's
Uh-huh.
half zombie. I don't know if Alonzo's. Are you half zombie yet?
I had the J&J, so I was one and done.
He's
Oh,
he's
okay,
full
nice.
zombie, and you're full zombie.
Yeah.
So you got 2 full zombies and half zombies. I get mine
Yeah.
in May. I'm hoping.
I'm-
'Cause my whole thing is I want to get a shot, and then I want to go to Mexico and surf. So like, just
Oh,
give me
nice.
my shots
Yeah.
so I can go. You know.
Yeah.
So,
I
about
mean,
you,
hopefully
JR?
life will come back. to
I'm
normal.
just waiting for my wings to grow out my back so I can start flying around.
That'd be a really cool side
Yeah.
effect for what, Pfizer?
Yeah.
So Maureen,
Yeah.
if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
There you go.
Strength, because I want to be able to protect myself and protect other people. It sucks. I'm like a very like petite lady. I mean, I'm kind of tall, but I'm like scrawny. So like, I've been taking boxing lessons for a long time before this pandemic. So that was like one way for me to try to feel stronger. But I wish that like I had like The Rock's body. You know what I mean? Because like he like matches how I feel inside sometimes. So yeah, I wish I could be strong. Like I just don't like feeling vulnerable because I'm like a girl, you know?
Yeah.
It sucks.
Hey, but Maurene, we want to thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you having on. If there's, is there any other? Do you have any other things coming out that you want to let our audience know about, or
well, then obviously you guys should keep reading Silk. It'll be coming out. I don't know, one issue a month. I'm like, it comes out on Wednesdays, I think. I'm like, I was about to like grab it, but I don't know. I don't remember where I put my issues of Silk. Oh, I don't want to get up and show you guys my sweatpants. I got this though. I got this the other day, like the.
Oh, awesome!
Yep.
The volume
for her first series.
Yeah. This was awesome. This was like my education, you know.
Yes.
Yes. Any announcements about any of my stuff will be. I'm always diligent about putting it up on my social media. So.
And
stay tuned.
Instagram specifically, right? So IG.
Oh yeah, Instagram and Twitter. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a couple of like short stories coming out in anthologies, but whatever. It's like not that exciting for superhero people. You know, like I'm like, you guys aren't gonna read it.
That's okay. You know what? We might have some young A readers out there, so why not?
Yeah, I have a short story, one that's out right now called "Come On In." It's like stories of immigrants,
cool.
and it's fiction. So that's out right now. Come On In, and then Up All Night. That's going to be a collection of stories. The stories, just the only parameter shared thing is that they are stories that take place all night long. So I have a story coming out, and I think that's in the fall. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Can I give you advice from a dad? Like, don't let your kid take naps at 5 o'clock, or you'll be up all night.
Oh, I know that. There's a strict rule right now. We're trying to keep him up till 7.
Yep. There you go. Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm like a nap like master.
You're better than me. You're better
that was
than
like
me.
that was like my big job during this pandemic. You know.
Hey, we mastered it. You know what I'm saying? Like we had what, a whole year and a half to master it.
Yeah, but the problem is he can only sleep in his room.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You didn't let him sleep in your bed.
That's right.
No, never.
Good job.
Not even from. I know we're like brutal. We're like not even day one.
Dude, I am so bad about that it's like so hard to get him to get in his own bed.
But it is sweet, you know, like
it
it's
is,
like a nice bonding.
They're so warm, the little people. I don't know what they are. They're all warm, and I'm like, it's so nice.
I just need to sleep, you know. So it's like I can't. If this is gonna like mess up our sleep forever, like let's nip this in the bud. My husband and I did shifts, so like he would do the night shift from midnight to 6 a.m. so I could sleep the first few weeks, you know.
Oh, he deserve it. Yeah. Totally. Hey, but we appreciate you coming on, and you want to do us a big favor and send us out?
Yes. Okay, let me see if I can say it correctly. If you want to do it right, collect what you like.
There you go.
Okay, great.